Hi, I'm Andres in Ordorica, and I will be reading from my debut novel, How We Named the Stars. Thanks for coming here with me, you said. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. There was a small snack bar open selling old-fashioned donuts, hot dogs, coffee, and other warm drinks. I remember we ordered a hot chocolate each and some of those oily apple donuts and sat down to enjoy them on a bench under a bare elm tree. There was steam rolling out of our mouths to drinks equally hot, sending smoke to the heavens. I felt so alive, as if we were those kids playing in the snow. Our second semester would soon be starting, and our lives would become consumed by studying, extracurricular activities, and hanging out with our other friends. But just then, and for a few more hours, I had you all to myself, and I was so grateful. What do you want to accomplish this semester? I asked way too formally. I just want to enjoy life. Good answer. You took a sip of your hot chocolate and leaned back, stretching out like a gazelle. You look like some off-duty sports star in your navy parka, those gray Nike sweatpants, and your favorite pair of Timberlands. And I thought, I have no idea why this guy, but I'm grateful it's him I'm falling for. Truly, there was no one else I'd rather have had those feelings for. You were a gift, and I'm only now understanding what a rare gift you were. And you, good sir, you asked, breaking the silence. What about me? Your turn. What do you want, Daniel? Again, it was like your mind always knew what I needed to hear, understood what I longed to be asked. I looked out onto the lake with majestic birds guarding the edge of the frozen banks, trying to formulate my answer. What did I want as I sat there listening to the wind rustling over the surface, shifting loose snow until it began dancing around like monks in a deep trance? So many thoughts were running through my head in that single moment, but these were the things I wanted. More time, you, to be happy. If you asked me that same question today, I'd say the same, but this is how I answered then. This. I want to enjoy this. I answered while looking straight out at Cayuga Lake, at all that bright snow, the landscape of ice and trees that would be full of green leaves in a few short months. But that wasn't what I saw in my mind. No. What I saw was you and me sitting there on the bench, the world stretching out before us, a spring of possibilities to come. My debut novel, How We Name the Stars, is a story that is steeped in both love and loss. It follows the story of two characters primarily, Daniel and Sam, but it works almost as an elegy because it's told primarily from Daniel's point of view. And the story is sort of written or spoken to Sam, who the reader knows by page 3 that Sam is dead. And so it really is a story of Daniel trying to find the means of moving forward in life after a very pivotal and formative first year at university, where he first meets Sam as his roommate, who then goes on to become his friend, and eventually something resembling a lover. And for me, what I would love my readers to get out of this book is a sense of comfort in discussing grief and in exploring grief, and a kind of willingness to not feel that we have to hinder ourselves or sort of water down the extremities of grief that can kind of flare up in the aftermath of losing someone that is very dear to us. What inspires my writing? I think I often write to life or some sort of form of the self. I like to riff off of memories or sort of questions that play on my mind, often that sort of are born from strong emotions, whether that is grief or love or sadness or joy, even. I think we're in a very sort of pivotal time right now in the world, and we're seeing an immense amount of loss and destruction and violence. And so for me, as a writer, I would be amiss to not sort of try and write towards a kind of grieving, if you will. And so, yeah, I think I'm inspired largely just by life. And then I think other writers who are not afraid to kind of confront the intensity of the world, whether that might be sort of the difficult things to try to translate, the difficulty of what it is to exist, the difficulty of trying to find the right answers, of knowing how to solve grand problems of the world, but also the difficulties of what it is to articulate seemingly very small things, acts of kindness, acts of friendship. Yeah, I think I'm just endlessly inspired by people um, who are fearless in that constant questioning of the world. What has been a highlight for my debut publishing experience? Honestly, there are two kind of big ones for me. For my US publication, it was getting a beautiful review in the New York Times, which I feel is like a dream that many writers have. And it was, if I'm being honest, a very overwhelming experience. And when my publicist sent it to my inbox and I read it, I probably spent a good 5 minutes just crying. And then with the UK publication, it was, yeah, probably getting named one of the top 10 debut novelists by The Observer, only because I think for anyone who is writing, whether that is poetry or prose or nonfiction, um, uh, there are many writers, and to aspire to a career in writing is no easy task to take on. And so even just getting through the act of writing a book and then the act of landing an agent and hopefully, fingers crossed, getting a publishing deal, that is already feels so insurmountable. So then to be met with just such generosity and validation is just unimaginable. And so for me, I feel very fortunate to have had those two accolades, if you will, with a debut novel. What has been my favorite book that's been published in 2024 and why? Well, not singing the praises of my own book, I have to say one that I just cannot stop talking about is this beautiful novel, also a debut, Some Strange Music Draws Me In by the illustrious Griffin Hansberry and published by Daunt Books here in the UK. This is just a stunning feat of fiction. It is both very humorous, but deeply sad and considered, but ultimately hopeful. It's a novel that follows the character of Mel, and and Max. Max is a trans man in his 40s, and it is sort of at this pivotal time in his life, in the aftermath of his mother's passing and reckoning with his past. And then the novel is kind of told from two perspectives. The other perspective being Max's pre-transition self, a teenage girl named Mel. And I think the way Hansberry holds space for both Mel and Max is just done with such generosity, and it is a bit of a punkish novel, an ode to the great Patti Smith. But also, I just think it's like a testament to what it is to survive and to find oneself at any age. So, highly recommend.